Beauty in the Gothic, forms of autistic aesthetics. Autistic aesthetics align with the notion of Gothic sensibilities. In the 18th century, the term Gothic meant barbarous, medieval, and supernatural. It was a derogatory term used in discussions about literature, art, and architecture that failed to conform to the standards set by neoclassical tastes. Gothic signified the lack of reason, morality, and beauty of feudal beliefs, customs, and works. The Gothic was also revolutionary because it questioned not only 18th century aesthetics, but also the status quo at that time, the social order, systems of authority, and existing social problems. The arts is perceived with suspicion, doubt, and sometimes disdain. Yet the arts generated £108 billion to the economy in 2022. That's from the House of Lords, 2023. Crafts generated more than agriculture. So why is it still looked down upon in hierarchy at universities? If we say we are a fine art researcher, you can see the glazed looks, their eyes roll. Further, there is a significant positive impact of the arts on well-being via public health interventions and employment. Yet the arts continuously contends with academic and arts funding cuts and is perceived with suspicion and doubt. With £66 billion being lost to sick leave in other lines of employment and other departments, the arts meet these interventions, healthcare interventions. So why do the arts continue to be perceived as lesser than? Autistic aesthetics align with the notion of Gothic sensibilities. Autistic people are often perceived with suspicion, fear, and disdain due to their different ways of communicating, interacting, thinking, language, thought processes, gestures, movement, and socializing. Autistic people have to contend with bullying, harassment, and exclusion, often on a daily basis. Many autistic people engage in stimming, which can be defined as repetitive behaviors to help manage emotions or regulate the nervous system. My research seeks to resituate stimming within an artistic context. The embodiment of stimming, through intuition and autistic ways of knowing, is entirely sensorial. As Sayers writes in Variations of the Body, whatever activity you're involved in, the body remains the medium of intuition, memory, knowing, working, and above all, invention. Thus, the autistic aesthetic, through stimming, is an invitation into new ways of appreciating beauty and calls upon nature that is alive and communicating to collaborate. Being autistic women, non-binary artists describe autistic lived experiences being like a ghost from behind a glass screen, walking continuously in mist or fog. They have a strong relationship with nature. My art videos and sonic audios explore how open, wild landscapes are divergent spaces that allow us to embrace our authentic selves. They offer a space for empowerment and resistance against mainstream norms that seek to ridicule, exclude, and render silent the autistic being. In such spaces, I am able to undress my neurodivergent and disabled body and I film myself doing this, inviting other autistic and/or divergent bodies to do the same. I will often borrow voices, substituting other autistic voices or bodies in place of my own, or layer them with my own. I am always present with the other autistic bodies or voices, even if I cannot be seen. Making soundscapes and/or videos about the act of undressing does not require me to take off my clothes. Instead, it is an act, witnessed by my stimming, which, when conveyed and expressed within an artistic context, moves beyond repetitive and self-soothing rhythms. Stimming becomes a source of power and magic, revealing ancient languages sourced by embodiment and bodies, historical chants and new geographical worlds. Stimming is often site-specific and allows me as an artist to grapple with my intuition and use it as a form of knowing. It invokes my sense of rationality, such as pattern finding and layering of words, echoing language and text within and between the landscape. The landscape is alive and is in a partnership and relationship with me. This is where stimming holds most power. The Gothic imagery in my art videos and audio is ghostly, encapsulating a sexuality that is freeing, tantalizing and tempting. Yet there is also a sense of ghosting, where autistic women and non-binary artists must escape all that they know in search of uncodified spaces. They do this to escape their pasts and reconstruct their own histories. They are forced to generate their own space outside the neurotypical and heteronormative lenses. Spirituality creeps in, stimming as portals to other realms, the ghost. Intuition needs to be restored, as it has mostly been gendered and devalued within neoliberal societies. Intuition has been reduced and minimized into a narrative that renders it passive, private, and feminine. This is perhaps why so many autistic people feel so much shame, because they communicate and move differently. Their gestures, language, and motions are sequestered into a narrative that reduces their qualities to familiar language. Divergent forms of autistic communication and expression within an artistic context convey an aesthetic that awakens otherworldly realms. These exist between the physical world and portals of invention. What you are about to hear has been performed live with no rehearsals, planning, or writing. It is a type of stim. Through my research, it has been identified as stim singing or stimscape, orbiting. It is the artist Dee Fry and myself, Eleanor Rowlands, and we're performing I Reach Out to the Water's Edge. These otherworldly creations are often made manifest through modes of stimming. In her autism research, Vizuri found that sensory supernatural experiences occur more frequently in autistic populations than non-autistic. Spirituality is a way of talking about what is not included in the usual sense of being human. Art gives a place for things that sit outside of conventional norms. The audience or reader or viewer is activating what the autistic neurodivergent writer or artist is hiding within the stim. This is a practice-based PhD. And as you have encountered and will now encounter again my artwork, and my artwork invites audiences to encounter stimming, activate the energy that exists within the stim. A new glossary of language is developed out of my research, new words to describe these stims. The language matters to autistic artists. It helps to give them words to what they do, to what they express. It's important. It fills gaps. It creates new knowledge, lasting knowledge. This project, Biodivergent Sights and Sounds, funded by the Arts Council and Canal and River Trust and Creative Health Camden, in-kind support from Coles Gallery in Leeds. Along here, various sites along a map of the canal in Harlesden, Wembley and London invites audiences to stim. Dip your fingers into the water, encounter nature, and invites you to stim and experience the autistic lived experience of sound, highly saturated lived experience. On one of them is a rusty can. I love the sounds. I love the chromatic sounds. I love chromatic sounds. I love noise that is different. I like to play these sounds over and over and over again in my brain. I wanted to create the sound of a can rusting in the water and what that can do to us, to help us take notice of pollution and why we must not pollute our waters. With a sailor's gaze. This next experience is journeying. Journeying is a stim. journeying is live, with no planning, no preparation. It is intuitive, otherworldly, and live. The musician and me, the storyteller, we stim with you into another world. The words were transcribed afterwards.
You come to me from the outside. You find me in my room. I'm laying horizontal on the bed. I've unlaced my shoes from the streets outside. Come, you say. I'm taking you for a ride. I'm taking you for a rest. Seat of the car, and you're up front driving, and I'm watching the way the trees disappear into, noticing the fly that is dead and is squashed on the grass, maybe a metaphor for how I'm feeling inside. I ask you, can we take the rock path to the top? So we stop the car. At the top, it gets darker. We can see the Milky Way. The sky fills up with stars. We blow their light out of our mouths, just like our parents did, and their parents. And this, and this, and this. Down the hillside there is a thin man eating his dinner by his mother's grave. His father was killed in the forest. There is no grave for him there. On the other side, there is Rebecca. She conducts the orchestra, caressing the wind with her fingertips. She draws the past with her fingers, memorizing the songs her mother used to sing to her. You make room for me under the blanket. I feel your skin graze mine. Around us scream and hearts burning still. We know we can take the train and we can forget. Her orchestra sings. We can take the train and we can forget.
All artwork and all practice is part of my practice-based research. Eleanor Rowlands, FRSA, PGR 2022. My Instagram, Eleanor Rowlands Art. And if you Google Beauty in the Gothic, Forms of Autistic Aesthetics, you can read my latest article. Thank you so much for listening.